Point this Monday evening. Will Justice Karju's tirade against the top judiciary really end up reforming the judiciary, or will it end up tarnishing the image of judiciary in our country? And joining me tonight to answer that question here in our studios, Bishwajit Bhattacharya, former Additional Solicitor General, also our Legal Affairs Editor, Ashok Bagadia. Joining me live from the capital, Raju Ramachandran, well-known Supreme Court lawyer, has been a part of our debate on the Supreme Court collegium question, what should be done with it on many occasions in the past. Representing the BJP, Sudhanshu Mittal, the government has moved a new bill, a constitutional amendment bill today in Parliament to amend the existing system of appointment of judges in Supreme Court and lower courts across the country. And in just a few moments from now, we also hope to be joined by some callers and some viewers, hopefully, who will be able to ask these questions, because ultimately whatever is the tinkering which is going to be done with the judiciary will end up affecting the entire country. So welcome to all of you on the program. Raju Ramachandran, let me first begin with you. You have come on this program earlier, and you have said that the demand of Justice Karju for scrapping off the collegium system is a demand which, according to you, was a valid demand. But when he now starts to get into these nitty-gritties, where he is literally being labeled as a former judge who's mastering the art of an expose a day, do you think the tactics which are being deployed by Justice Karju are correct, Raju Ramachandran?
Sorry, I didn't get your last question. What was your question?
I was asking you, sir, that do you agree with these tactics which have been used by Justice Karju to raise his larger question of corruption within the judiciary?
It's very difficult to ever agree with Justice Karju's tactics, because he's an unconventional person, an unorthodox person, and he's very unpredictable. So one can never agree with his methods or tactics. But the point is that he raises valid issues from time to time, and we ignore those issues at our peril. He is an insider who's been part of the system. He is sharing his insights. He is sharing them in driblets, in installments. He first spoke about Tamil Nadu, now he is talking about Allahabad. You can ask him why he didn't write one long, comprehensive blog saying everything at the same time.
No,
but the point is, every instance which he highlights needs to be, every instance needs to be inquired into.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'm trying to argue a different point with you. I take your point, Raju, that maybe because of the kind of allegations which have literally become a part and parcel of the top echelons of judiciary in our country, maybe there is some merit in the points which are being made by Justice Karju. But I was just looking at his latest blog post, Raju, and I'm sure you must have done that as well, where he says that I gave to Justice Kapadia, the then Chief Justice, 3 mobile numbers of agents of a very senior Allahabad High Court judge against whom there were serious allegations of corruption. Then he keeps on making one point after the other. Today he's written another Facebook post now where he's named another judge from Madras High Court. My point is, why doesn't he name all these judges? If he has the evidence, and surely Justice Karju would not be saying anything without evidence, why doesn't he name these judges? Because ultimately it looks as if Justice Karju is preparing the ground for the government to go ahead and indulge in an act which the government has already done, which is to bring in a bill in Parliament today.
This is a question which can legitimately be asked to Justice Karju, that now that you have decided to open your mouth, what stops you from naming these particular judges? Because otherwise it's a matter of innuendo. But the legal community will find out soon enough, and those names will become public. He ought to have named them. I agree fully with you. But I don't see this as a tactic to empower the government, to bring in the National Judicial Appointments Commission, because that is founded on much larger considerations than merely allegations against Judge X or Judge Y.
Okay, so Sudhanshu Mittal is already raising his hand.
Be brought.
Mr. Mittal, representing the BJP, is already raising his hand, and I'm sure, Mr. Mittal, you would like to take that question that I was trying to argue with Raju Ramachandran there. That am I right when I say that maybe somewhere along the line you all have worked out some kind of a backroom deal with Justice Karju? When I did an interview with Justice Karju, I outrightly asked him this question in a very direct manner. He was rejecting that. But you know, I'm just looking at the sequence of events. It's almost as if Justice Karju has had a second wind of life. What's going on, Mr. Mittal?
Bhupendraji, to even suggest this is preposterous. I mean, I think they are very serious issues we are debating, and to attribute such motives would defeat the entire exercise of looking at judiciary dispassionately.
I'm looking at the politics
I
behind
have a few
this.
points to it.
I'm just trying to look at the politics
I have
behind
a few
this.
points.
Yes.
No, there's no politics behind it.
There is none.
For far too long, everybody knows what has been happening. You have such eminent jurists in front of me. Ask them, tell them to touch their heart and say there's no corruption in judiciary. Ask all of them and let them say honestly.
But who forces that corruption?
That the appointment of
Mr. Mittal, who forces that corruption? It's not as if that when you were in power in the previous regime or when the Congress was there for the last 10 years, it's not as if that these judicial appointments weren't being influenced. It's not as if the political class had nothing to do with these appointments. So when you say that, oh, ask these jurists to put their hands on their hearts, it's almost as if, you believe that the political class is completely hunky-dory, sir.
Bhupendraji, you were sidetracking the main issue. There are two issues involved. Appointment of judges is separate. Then corruption in judiciary. We are dealing in two different issues. Today, the bill for appointment of judges has come. We are not debating that. We are debating how to tackle corruption in judiciary. See, the first fundamental guarantee this constitution gives us is equality before law. The law on corruption is Prevention of Corruption Act. I do not understand why anybody, be it a jurist, be it anybody, who will not be tried under the Prevention of Corruption Act. What is so sacrosanct about anybody in this country that the Prevention of Corruption Act shall not be applicable? You've had exposés from all and sundry. Justice Kajju being the latest out of them, pointing out time and again the amount of corruption which is happening in judiciary. Why should the due process of law not take place? Why should there be a special provision to deal with corruption in judiciary? I don't think that's the right thing to do. See, the fear of Contempt of Court Act is so strong, and the repercussions of being unpleasant to judicial sensitivenesses has become so strong that people don't want to come out and speak the truth. The truth is state.
No, you're trying to make a distinction.
Corruption.
Mr. Mittal, you're trying to make out a distinction.
I would just want to point out to Mr. Mittal is the fact that we have to understand that even Justice Kajju pointed out political interference in appointment of judges.
That's exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you. And Mr. Mittal very cleverly is trying to shift the goalpost there, but that's his right because he happens to be the politician on the panel. Be that as it may.
But let's not digress. Let's not digress.
Sir, you are trying to digress. Sir, you are trying to create a distinction.
Look, even if it is, let us say, even if it is political interference, it is wrong. See, justice is a fundamental function, and every civilized society runs on the majesty of law.
Mr. Mittal.
Things which are undermining the majesty of law,
sir,
are we to treat them seriously, or
sir,
are we just to brush them?
Sir, the entire argument being made by your party and your government now is that if you were to bring in this bill and if you were to take the ultimate power of appointment and transfer and removal of judges, by the way, from the judiciary, it will go a long way in trying to deal with corruption.
Bhupender, you must also understand.
Yes.
Bhupender, word over, show me one democracy where judges appoint themselves.
I agree.
Show me one democracy.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
And this is not what the Constitution said.
That's a fair point.
This is not what the Constitution said.
Bishwajit Bhattacharya.
What is happening is,
the more I listen to Mr. Mittal,
the
more I get convinced. The more I get convinced that actually those jurists who are trying to argue that this entire Judicial Appointments Commission and this new Constitutional Amendment Bill which has been moved in Parliament today does have enormous potential of replacing one monstrous act with another monstrous act. Is that a correct interpretation that I'm trying to draw?
Well, I think, as I have already stated in the past also, the remedy which is being sought to be, achieved is far worse than whatever aberrations we are having.
Why do you say that?
Within the college?
When Mr. Mittal says that judiciary, look at the corruption in judiciary, that this bill will ultimately go some way.
Mr. Mittal is talking about the entire world. Now, in India, 50% of the litigation is the government. So the biggest litigant in the country
is the government itself.
Is the government of India. So this is not the situation in the rest of the world. Secondly, I mean, Bhupen, what Justice Kajju has basically revealed today is quite old, number one. All along,
Why do you think he's revealing this?
No.
Why do you think that he's coming up with these blog posts literally on a daily basis?
Now the question is why he is revealing now, he knows best, but I want to make a very serious point. The Intelligence Bureau report. Now, the very fact that the Intelligence Bureau carried out, sort of some kind of a tap
tapping.
on the phone, that means the Intelligence Bureau knows everything. Intelligence Bureau reports to the Home Minister and also perhaps the Prime Minister. So the Home Minister kept quiet, the Prime Minister kept quiet.
Right.
Now nobody is talking why the Home Minister kept quiet, why the Prime Minister kept quiet. Everybody is bashing the Chief Justice of India, mind you.
Right.
And one more thing, it is also very, very crystal clear who the judge is. The whole world may pose, we don't know who the judge is.
No, but the point is that you see, viewers may not know.
Every member
You
of
all
the-
who are involved in the legal profession may know, the
member-
viewers may not know.
every
Which is why I'm
member-
arguing, why doesn't Justice Karju, if he's so convinced of what he's saying, why does he name these judges? And-
Bhupen, every member of every High Court bar, every judge knows who the person is.
Sir, I'm not a lawyer,
The
I'm not a
only-
judge.
no,
Most
no,
of our
now the
viewers
Justice
do not
Karju-
belong to the legal
So why
fraternity.
is no action taken?
Justice Karju has given
Let's
enough
understand,
material
Mr. Bhattacharya, why is no action taken?
in fact,
You
pinpoint
have
the
charges
person.
of sexual
Only
harassment.
thing is that people
No
are
action is
afraid.
taken.
People
You
are
have
afraid.
charges of corruption. No
If
action
the-
is taken.
If the
Are
person
you
is
saying
named,
that
it will,
they are above law?
it will lead to another kind of sort of litigation, and ultimately you have to
So
prove
you are
by-
saying there should
prove
not
by
be
evidence.
charges?
Okay, no.
The
Let's
whole
just
world knows who the person is.
Hold on.
I mean, why are we confusing the issue? We are talking about sexual harassment. We are talking about corruption.
No.
You are talking about appointment of judges.
We are-
They're two different things altogether.
we are
I am
trying-
just merely asking you,
Yes, sir.
when there are charges of sexual harassment,
Yes.
why is no action taken? When there are charges of serious corruption charges, why is there no action taken? I'm just merely asking you that.
No, that's not-
And for
you
these
are
two
raising-
things,
what you are
should you
saying-
have a different process of law?
What you are saying is
For
right.
sexual harassment
Mr.
charges,
Mittal,
should
Mr.
you have a different process of
Mr.
law?
Mittal,
For
what you're saying
corruption
is right,
charges,
but
should you have a different process of law?
my counter argument to you is that what is being done through Parliament today, hopefully through consensus, as is being suggested by the government, hopefully it will deal with the kind of problems that you're raising. Because let's be clear,
No, it cannot.
The criticism
No,
of the judges
appointment
has
of
also
judges
been this,
cannot
sir.
deal with this.
Sir, the criticism of judiciary, as has also been done by Mr. Jaitley in the past, is that many of these judges don't deserve to be judges. Therefore, there is a view which exists in the political circles that perhaps those who are now
Bhupendraji-
occupying these high positions are occupying these high positions only and only for their vested interest.
No,
But Ashok,
I very
Bhupendraji, these two issues I have raised will not be dealt
I
with
totally
under
disagree
this,
with you.
the provision as introduced in Parliament.
sir,
From 1993 till now, starting from
It is-
Justice Lodha is a basic product of the collegium system.
that's what he said. That I wanted
Even
Ashok to
today
come
he has
into that
made a
point.
statement.
You know, Ashok,
And
when Justice Lodha, when the Chief Justice of India, when he makes such a strong statement that if these kind of attacks continue, then the very confidence that people have in our judiciary will be shaken.
Bhupen, one thing you have to understand that this kind of an outburst by the Chief Justice of India is a very rare thing. And you know, when he goes on to say that he's in fact the product of the first batch of the collegium system, and in fact his colleague who was sitting with him, Justice Nariman, is the last. Now he's making a very strong point here. Now what we fail to understand in this debate or the controversy which is raging is the fact that what is at stake is the integrity of the judiciary, and what is important is that judiciary is supposed to be an independent body, and so far the people of the country have had tremendous faith in this institution. So for now let this debate go on, but at the same time let us ensure that the integrity, or rather what is at stake is the judiciary, the institution of judiciary is not compromised. That is of the prime
I
importance.
would agree with him.
Whether we have some system, A system or B
I would
system
agree
of
with him.
selection
So
of
do
judges.
you think, I just want to be very clear on this one, you know, because Sudhanshu Mittal is also raising a fundamental point, which is an important point. When he says that this debate is actually not about corruption in judiciary, I would tend to disagree with him. And I would tend to feel that maybe this outburst which we have seen today by the Chief Justice is precisely this, because he is worried that the
Definitely.
allegations which are now being made by the likes of Justice Karju are precisely dealing with corruption.
I completely agree with you. The debate definitely is about corruption in judiciary. For once and for all, we need to have a system in place whereby we are able to combat corruption. Number one, corruption, what kind of corruption? Is it the kind of a moral turpitude? Is it kind of a bribery? Is it kind of political interference? We have to take into account the whole spectrum of corruption which we can deal with and try to get rid of it once and for all. What the government is doing at this point in time is trying to deal with the problem from one end by ensuring that we'll have a new system of appointing judges. So we'll ensure that some good quality or
where the government ultimately has a final say. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this Judicial Appointments Commission which is being done. If you have the leader of opposition, if you have two eminent people who will be decided by the Chief Justice and the Prime Minister of India, of course, that's the direction that you're moving in.
Chief Justice and other judges very likely to be basically outnumbered. So this is going to destroy the independence of judiciary, the executive, the legislature and the politicians. Now we'll snatch away the power of posting, transfer and appointment of judges. Whatever little independence we have had, and
Mr.
this has,
Mittal is
this has
laughing at
happened
your,
for
at your
the past
observations.
21 years.
Sudhanshu Mittal is
This
laughing at your observations.
This is typical.
He is laughing
This is a
because
typical
it is
explanation
because of an
to
inconvenient judiciary.
maintain status
It
quo
is
of a
because
system
of an
which is rotting
inconvenient
right now.
judiciary. Today, the legislature and the executive,
Are
they
we
are
talking-
basically terribly scared.
It is
Sir,
better.
don't-
What Mr.
don't
Mittal has to
deal with
understand
corruption
is
and
always
sexual
better
harassment.
to have an inconvenient judiciary. We need to have a judiciary where the judiciary and government do not enjoy comfortable relationship,
Absolutely.
because that will
And do
ensure.
you
Bhupinder ji,
suspect?
do you want?
Do you
want?
suspect? Do
Do
you
you want
suspect
a
that this
judiciary?
Judicial Appointment
Bhupinder,
Commission
We
Bhupinder,
do
can I
bring
have
about
a
a
word?
degree of fees?
we do
Yeah, yeah,
suspect.
yeah,
Bhupinder,
yeah,
can I
one
say
second.
something?
Yes, sir,
Where
yes,
the
sir,
Chief
yes, sir. One
Justice of
second.
India, where the Chief Justice of
Bhupinder,
India,
can I
won't
say
name.
something?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Mittal. Yes.
Bhupinder,
Yes, yes.
what is it that that the confidence of judiciary in the minds of people is shaken? It is shaken when there are sexual harassment charges, where a judge relinquishes
saying the
office
Chief Justice
saying,
is wrong?
Just
Are you
just
saying
one
the
minute.
Chief
Allow
Justice
me-
is
allow
wrong?
me to finish. I am just allow me to say something. Sexual harassment charges, nothing happens. Serious corruption, and I'm talking about moral turpitude and financial corruption charges.
Sir, what
If
happens
these
when politicians
charges
get
are
involved?
not going to be
I mean, let's know
transparently
what are we
dealt
talking
with.
about, Mr. Mittal?
If-
Come on. Come,
just
you know,
one
how
minute.
many
Just one
cases,
minute.
how many
Just one
cases of
minute.
politicians are
Just
also
one
involved in
minute.
bribery
It's a headline.
and
Just
sexual
one
harassment
minute.
ultimately get settled, sir? Tell me.
Please allow me to finish, na?
Yes, sir.
Allow me to make a point and
Yes.
then let's debate this.
Yes.
These, for all these charges, do you not think that there should be transparency in dealing with these charges? These are serious charges.
Yes.
And when it comes to the highest people enjoying the mandate of doing justice, if it is against them, what is critical is for the faith of people in judicial system. These charges must be dealt with transparently, efficiently, and to their logical ends.
Raju
If you
Ramachandran-
brush them under the carpet,
Raju
saying, if you
Ramachandran,
brush them
is
under
the
the
Chief
carpet,
Justice
saying
wrong?
this will damage the
Raju
reputation of
Ramachandran,
judiciary.
is the Chief Justice
Believe me,
wrong
you
when
may be
he
able to,
indulges in what
you may
Ashok
be able to
says, a
scupper
rare
the voices,
outburst?
but
And
it
when
will
he
damage
says,
you.
okay, when the Chief Justice Raju Ramachandran comes out and says that if you continue with attacks like these, then you are going to hurt the confidence that people have in the judiciary. Now, one view of Mr. Mittal is that anyways that confidence has been shaken because of the kind of allegations which have been leveled against the senior most judges in our country.
No, confidence is not shaken. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I mean, there is one view.
They are trying to shake the confidence.
And
but
there is
there
no
are enough
action on the
allegations.
matter.
There are enough allegations.
What
which
is
have been
critical is once the charges have been made,
Yeah.
there is no
can't be
transparent
investigating.
mechanism
But-
to show that these charges are
But
wrong.
Raju, no, I
You
want
are
to understand
not
from Mr.
transparently
Ramachandran.
investigating these charges.
The points which have been made by the Chief Justice today, surely the Chief Justice is extremely concerned, Mr. Ramachandran, about what's going on. The fact that one of his former colleagues now is becoming a blogger and he's coming up with one expose a day. Do you believe that the Chief Justice perhaps is now beginning to feel that his hands are simply tied up and he can't do anything beyond what he may have already done?
When the Chief Justice says that by attacking the collegium system, or that's what the report says, I don't know the exact words of the Chief Justice,
Yeah.
you are destroying confidence in the judiciary. With great respect to the Chief Justice, I don't think that is correct. When there is a criticism of the inadequacies of the collegium system, it is a criticism aimed at ensuring that judicial appointments are that the best appointments are made to the judiciary. Highlighting flaws in the system is not an attack on the judiciary, and I don't see why public confidence in the judiciary as an institution should be shaken because the collegium system is being criticized or sought to be reformed. These are two different issues altogether. Nobody is attacking the judges for their judicial performance. But surely in this major debate, we are at a very critical juncture where 21 years after the collegium judgment, we are trying to bring about constitutional changes. Criticisms will be natural. So the judiciary also shouldn't be hypersensitive to this criticism.
Do you believe it's a very natural process of evolution which is taking place? Society has changed. The kind of cases which are now coming up against senior most judges, I was pointing out, in our country, there has been a huge increase. Whether it's Chandigarh, where there was cash which was delivered at a judge's doorstep, or the kind of cases which now Justice Karju has been talking about, and I was just reading, one part. I mean, I was just looking at the two blogs which have been put up. And Justice Karju Raju, by the way, is almost lobbing the ball in the court of the then Chief Justices themselves. He had earlier targeted Justice Lahoti. Now he's accusing Justice Kapadia, where he said that I went to Justice Kapadia's chamber and I told him of the bad reputation of one judge, giving details. I told him that I was not in the Supreme Court collegium, but he was, and now it was for him to do whatever he thinks proper, and he had done his duty, and Justice Kapadia never did anything. It's almost as if Justice Karju is saying that through his entire tenure, he is now veering around to this conclusion, Mr. Ramachandran, that the judiciary is a corrupt institution. Now, if that's the impression which is coming from Justice Karju, A, do you agree with that impression which he's trying to create? And B, do you agree with the kind of methodology which is being adopted by Justice Karju here?
As I said in the beginning of the program, you can never agree with Justice Karju's methodology in whatever he does. But the point is, Justice Karju has highlighted the fact that the system is so inadequate to deal with allegations of corruption. Now, he says he's pointed out these instances to an upright Chief Justice like Justice Kapadia. Now, Justice Kapadia also has his limitations. What does he do? At the most, he can transfer someone. Justice Karju is highlighting the fact that the only way you deal with the problem is to transfer that problem to another high court. Impeachment is not available in every situation. It's such a painful, cumbersome process.
Right.
And therefore, when we are bringing about these changes, we must look not only at the appointment processes, but simpler methods of removal. If a judge is corrupt, then institute an inquiry and have him dismissed from service. Don't transfer him to another high court and pollute the quality of justice in the other high court.
Mr. Bhattacharya, the other point which must be flagged off at this juncture is that it's not just Justice Kapadia that Justice Karju has spoken about. In the past, he has spoken about Justice Balakrishnan. In fact, even in this blog post, he's spoken about him. He accuses him also of effectively taking sides with a judge who Justice Karju thought was a corrupt judge. Now, if I have to look specifically at Justice K.G. Balakrishnan's case, there have been several allegations which have been made against him. There was a petition which was even moved before the President's office that there should be an investigation to find out whether the assets which had been accumulated by Justice Balakrishnan and his family members, were there illegal means which were used to acquire those assets or not. Do you not think that rather than simply coming out with this outburst, as we have seen today from Justice Lodha, the Chief Justice of the country, would it not have been better if the Chief Justice also would be taking positions in terms of how he himself would be thinking to improve the image of the judiciary, his own former colleagues, for instance?
Bhupen, can I answer that?
Yes.
You see, the answer is why the outburst, and this is a justifiable outburst, because today, this is all past. Now we have to look into the future. It all started with a judge who is dead.
Right.
Unfortunately, we can't have any meaningful debate about the person who is dead.
Fair enough. But these other judges that Justice Karju is not talking about.
Other judges today,
And Justice Balakrishnan's case, for instance,
No.
that case has not been settled, Mr. Bhattacharya.
So Justice Balakrishnan's case is there. What prevents the powers that be from triggering a legal process? There is a legal process for everything. I don't support anything if any allegation has been made. I'm the last person to support the allegation. Support.
Is it possible, Ashok, just on the basis of
Can I
these
just?
yeah.
Can I just?
Quickly,
You
sir,
see,
quickly.
so therefore, my only limited submission before your distinguished audience is that today we have a very fine collegium system. I do not agree with Raju Ramachandran. Justice Karju has said transferring is the solution. In fact, Justice Karju has said transferring a judge is not a solution. So Justice Karju has raised a valid point. I am not saying what Justice Karju has said is not
Justice
valid.
Karju
Now, only thing is that we should remedy all these things.
No, that's exactly the point I'm looking at.
In future. So therefore,
but when you say that we should remedy this situation in the future, often the answers for the future lie in history. And therefore, specifically,
executive and legislature,
But
therefore impeachment process
you're
is
right,
there.
You're right. You see, but Justice Balakrishnan is the NHRC chief. right now.
Correct.
Ashok. And there are some serious allegations which have been made against him. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that there has been an independent inquiry which has been done on the basis of the kind of complaints which have been made.
Why is it not been done?
Do you believe it's possible, for instance, for the Chief Justice, who's otherwise coming up with outbursts, you attack my collegium, therefore I'm getting upset with you. Do you believe it's possible for the Chief Justice to say that,
you make an allegation against me.
Let me try and get to the bottom of this entire controversy. Let me order an
There's one
investigation.
thing, Bhupen. We have to begin from the premise that judiciary is not a perfect institution. In fact, this is what Justice Lodha said today, that everything is not perfect in this world, and they are a part of this society from which they are selected, and they are representative of the society where they come from. But that does not absolve them of anything, and it certainly does not help them to brush the corruption issues under the carpet. Yes, now I do agree with the fact that if there is an allegation of corruption against a sitting judge or a retired judge, he needs to be dealt with according to the process of law.
Because otherwise they say that we are not going to deal with allegation
Bhupen,
corruption against a man who's occupied Chief Justice's.
The most important point is when we say by following the due process of law, Mr. Mittal, just 1 second, just listen to me. When I say a due process of law, because this is the due process of law which is entitled to every citizen of this country.
Fair enough.
Whether a judge or not a judge.
Fair enough. But
so
Mr.
that
Mittal,
process has to be followed.
Mr. Mittal, I'm also looking at this from a political side. And I'm just looking at the kind of comments which are being made by Congress leaders, the likes of Salman Khurshid, Veerappa Moily. There is a feeling, Mr. Mittal, which is being created now, that your moves of bringing in the so-called reformatory measures within the judiciary are creating a situation of a collision course. It's almost as if the judiciary and the government now are staring at a collision with each other. Isn't that a dangerous situation for you, Mr. Mittal?
Certainly, if this is the political language spoken by Congress or anybody, it is unfortunate. A status quo system which has problems there should not remain a status quo system.
Okay.
Changes are required, and I think it's acknowledged by everybody. There are problems. As I have just pointed out, there are charges of sexual harassment. There are charges of corruption. These are serious charges. And where is the equality before law? Why should the due process of law not be undertaken in these cases, be it a politician, be it an executive, or be it the judiciary?
Okay.
But you are trying to insulate, and this insulation has led to what we are seeing just now.
So you believe
So what
that
I'm
this...
saying is, let's not confuse two things.
Yes.
Let us not confuse
You
two
made
things.
that point.
Appointment, see, there is a judicial function, there is an administrative function.
Yes.
The judicial function must be completely independent.
Okay.
An administrative function is not a judicial function.
All right.
So let's not confuse these two things also.
All right.
What is happening is, in the garb of judicial function, we are covering administrative function, which needs to be completely transparent as well.
Well, let's just...
Why CIC?
Yeah.
Why Information Commissioner's order of Right to Information Act being applicable?
Well,
not
by
being
the way,
implemented?
Mr. Mittal, it's very interesting. It's very interesting that, you're saying what you're saying, and as you're saying, as you're making those points, there's a statement which has now been put out by Justice Santosh Hegde, another well-known jurist who's outrightly disagreeing with the tactics which have been used by Justice Markandeya Katju. But maybe Raju is right when he says that you can't agree with the tactics, with the methodology of Justice Katju, but you have to ultimately agree with the kind of issues which he's flagging off. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this edition.
Let's not shoot the messenger.
Okay,
We are
let's
just
not
trying to shoot the messenger, and he's a whistleblower. Let us respect the whistleblower.
Very good, Mr. Mittal. Many would argue that what do politicians do when it comes to whistleblowers who end up targeting their own interests? But that's a debate for another day. That's a debate for another day.
If we are guilty, we should be prosecuted.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody is above law.
Thank you,
Law
Mr.
of
Mittal.
land prevails.
Thank you, Raju Ramachandran, Sudhanshu Mittal, Bishwajit Bhattacharya, and Ashok Bagadia for joining me on this edition of India at 9. Well, the only thing which must